Hello everyone, Bryce Cleveland here, founder and CEO of Scalpa, and welcome to Whiteboard Talk. We're gonna get right into exactly how to do ombre the easy way. Now, I've got some personal experience in this. I've had my ombre brows done the wrong way by, believe it or not, someone really up in the game of doing brows, and I've kind of know what they've done and what not to do, and a lot of people are doing that method. So I want to go through that on what not to do when you look at other trainings and the easiest way of doing things. I like to look at things and say, how do we do this, simplify it, so everyone can learn, take advantage of this awesome technique, powder brow, ombre, stardust, whatever you want to call it. So a lot of people, what they like to do before we start off is, what they want to do is they want to create these dots around this to outline the brow. That is a bad idea, because what will happen was, and what happened to my brows is that I had dots over it and I had to get them fixed, and it was a nightmare. Don't do that. We actually have a whole training of that being done, and then my results came out and I'm like, oh my God, cut. We're not doing this. This is not the way to do ombre. So we got some new masters in the game that I really knew are really good, who you will be watching, Suji Moon. I'm doing it, and brought some other people. So no more dots, no dots. We're gonna take this really easy. So you see dots, you don't do dots on eyebrows. We don't do that with a machine. Okay, so what do we do? So what you're gonna realize when doing brows is that it's a very gradual process. And that's what's good about it. It's hard to really mess up, but it's respecting the gradual flow of how the pigment is laid, right? So what you want to do is, the biggest mistake I see people making is that they fill it in and they think that their shape is there, and then they go to wipe off and they wipe off the shape, and they didn't really create the line of the shape that they want to into the skin, and now you got to redo it. You're embarrassed in front of your client because you're like, oh no, we just went through 30 minutes of creating the shape and I just wiped the shape off. So it's the biggest mistake that I've seen that people are doing. So what you want to do with your pro needle, when you create the shape of them and you guys are really happy on it, whether they're creating it, whatever tools you use to create the shape, you do it. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll fill this in with makeup and then go through it, or you can do lines, all the ways you can do it, but you've got your shape. So what you want to do is, with your pro needle, your single needle, is you want to come in and you want to just lightly outline in here, very lightly. Now when I say lightly with pigment, you want to just lightly outline here, because what you're going to do is that you're not going to pre-numb this. When you pre-numb this with our numb, it's going to change the texture and consistency of the skin, and you're not going to get good coverage and results when you do that. What you're going to be using for this is Gone. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in with the pigment and lightly come in here and create something. Now, when you do this, you're gonna know, you won't know it at first because there'll be pigment on here and ink. The line isn't quite there yet, but you're gonna go through, because what you're trying to do is create some abrasion. Now, up in the front here, what I like to do usually is leave this alone, because depending on what they want. If they want something more square, you can go over here, but for now, for most cases, you don't wanna touch this yet, right? And usually what you want to do too is you want to keep this line heavier and defined. We'll get to that after, than the top, right? So you want to ombre where this bottom part is a little darker and this lightens up at the top. This is darker, your tail is darker, and it lightens up at the front. There's different ways to make this front light depending on what they want. So you're going to come around, you're going to come back on this side again, come up here, still using my pro needle, coming up like this. Then what you're going to do with your pro needle is make small little cuts into here. Small cuts. And it won't hurt them. You're just trying to create abrasions to the skin. All throughout here. Now that's going to open up the skin, and you're going to have a little bit of pigment in there as well, but try not to make too much of a mess. Keep your line. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take some Gone on a tooth, on a tissue, or a ear cleaner, a clean or what is it? What is it called? A Q-tip. And you're gonna just pat down the gone inside of this, okay? Later on, you're gonna really wipe it in there and get it good, but now you're just gonna pat, because what you don't wanna do is ruin your shape, right? Because you want your shape there, but you want them not to feel any pain, right? So you're gonna pat through. I mean, this is a huge brow, right? It's a small brow, so it's not. I mean, this will be really, really simple. You just pat it. It'll be 1 pat, 2 pat, 3 pat, 4 pat, and now you've got some numbing in there. They're starting not to feel anything. So what you want to do is start with your pro needle again, okay? You want to come in here heavier. You want to come in here and really get this line going. You want to do this about 3 times. Come through. And what you want to do is you want to do this kind of motion. You want to go inside, and it's like that. So it's like this. You're going to come back to there, that. So you're going to be kind of overlapping. So it's going to be like this. Okay? Now, a lot of times what I like to do is when I start and I go in there, I start moving my needle before I even go in. Because you don't want to go like this and then go. That's how you create a dot, right? You want to go like this and you come into it like that, okay? So you're running your machine about 9.5 when doing this, okay? All the way through, you're running your machine at 9.5, and the only time you're going to change that, I'll tell you that later. So you're going to come through, do this 3 times like this, and you're good. Then you're going to come up here, you're going to do this as well. Let's do this 2 times, okay? 1, 2. Okay. Now, what we're gonna do is with your single needle, kind of come into here like this and get this little point good, okay? A lot of them like that little point, little something. They want a little less aggressive. You can go a little less aggressive, go into here. Now, this is all gonna be filled with ink, and you're not gonna know if this really laid, because this is all gonna be kind of inky, and you're gonna say, oh no, what do I do? And the most important thing that's scary is that you don't wanna wipe away your stuff, right? It's very gradual. You do this 3 times, maybe you didn't get enough depth, whatever. What you wanna do is this is gonna be full of ink. You wanna wipe this off, right? Now, if you see your line here, you did good. You see a line here, you did good. If you don't, what I want you to do is do this again. Go a little deeper and create this line one more time and come up here. Then you wipe off a little bit more. If that's gone, you got a problem, right? We gotta keep on, we gotta create this line again. And that's how you're gonna learn that you gotta go a little bit deeper, a little bit lighter, whatever you gotta do, you're gonna learn. So what you're gonna want is you're gonna want this line, this tail to still be here. You're gonna see it, and the pressure would already have been there. And now you can wipe. You'll wipe this off, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add more numbing. So more numbing into this, more gone into here. And now she's feeling a lot better. So now she should be completely numb in here and ready for some ombre. So you are completely done with your pro needle. Now it's time to get your bigger needles, your 3-point ombre. So now you're gonna come back in here and you're gonna fill. You're gonna do this 5 times. Now, 5 times, you're still gonna be overlapping twice each side, right? So it's really gonna be an overlapping of 10 times. I'll show you what I mean. So you're gonna come in here like this, come over, come over, then move up, come over, come over. So I did 1, 2, and I'm gonna do this 5 times. So it's really 10 times in one spot. You're gonna go like this, come over, come over, come over, come over. Now what you're gonna find is that you're gonna be so excited about the results in the process, right? That you're gonna think that it's all filled in. Don't let yourself down, because when you wipe this, it's gonna be really light, and that's okay. It's a gradual process. You're gonna do this 5 separate times, and little by little, it's gonna get there. So let's fast forward to going in here, because you're gonna watch live procedures from our top artists doing this. Let's get over to here. So now we're here, okay? We have options. What you can do is you can keep this area open and you can create strokes. Now when you create strokes with the machine, you can do it with your microblade as well, but if you want to do it with a machine, never do this with a machine. Draw a stroke, or draw a stroke. What you want to do is just how you did here, and that's how you can really create some good, because when you're using a blade, you got a straight blade and you get something to ride on, right? Some of you that are a little bit in the beginners, right, you use a 9 classic or a 14 curve, right? Some of you are using 18Us, but you have something to write on. When you're using a single needle, you don't. So what you want to do how to create it is you want to come up like this to create your strokes in the front. So a lot of people, they like this, and then they come up and they do kind of like something like that. That's an option, right? To do in your front, you can shade it a little bit. One of the other new ways people are doing, and you can do the boxy look. You can come here, go a little bit lighter with your pro needle, which you would here, and then you could do your ombre here and just fill this right in, right? And then right up to the front, you can fill it. Or there's that pixelated stardust that you can do. So what you would do is you start about right here. You're gonna lower your machine to 8 points, okay? You were at a 9.5, you're gonna come down 1.5, okay? And again, you don't wanna come right into it. You wanna move your cursor like your pen like this, and you wanna come in nice and light, like this. And then wipe, and then do it one more time. Come in nice and light like that. And what's gonna happen is, it's gonna start to pixelate. And that's what you want. It's gonna start to pixelate and it'll soften right up into there. So it's about creating that same string you're doing here, lowering it, and then watching how that blends in. That's how you create a soft line there. You know, I think you always should create a soft line at first, and then when your client looks at it, they say, okay, you know, I wanna go darker, what have you, they have that option. But that's really basically it. It's really creating that shape. You know, look, the bottom line is what I've seen, and I've been in this industry for quite a while, is that when you're doing microblading, it causes a lot of injury to the skin, and the longevity of the procedure lasts, right? Because you're creating a lot of scar tissue. When you do this, you're creating a shape right away. Again, it's disarming when you go to somebody and they're holding a blade in their hand compared to they're holding a machine in their hand, right? It's a little bit scarier. But I would tell your clients, if you want to go this route, that's kind of your selling point to going in this direction, is the fact that you're creating a shade, and at the end of the day, doing microblading, that's what's going to happen, and you're not damaging the skin as much. So here you go, chalkboard talk. I hope that helped you. Our next thing we'll be going over is I'll have you actually do this on fake skin using the Easy Brow, creating creating this and getting down to it. See ya.